Radiant, son.
You place blame for failure outward.
I seek
Vantage towards next who would embrace me as Doctore.
Freedom in the arena. I bought the first bauble I laid eyes upon in them.
and all men contained within in exchange for but one of yours.
Yes. So basically, in the series Spartacus, House of Ashur, Korris and Opiter are center characters involved in a secret tragic romance. So that is the whole plot. But before we get into a couple more details and actually speak about their relationship, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. So basically, Korris is a former gladiator who won his freedom and now serves as the Doctore, basically the head trainer of the House of Ashur. So he is in charge to prepare the gladiators for battles and such on and such on. On the other hand, we have Opiter, who is a wealthy Roman and a rival Lanista, owner of a gladiator school. So more of the story, they don't get along, basically because of the roles that they play, where they come from, and just everything overall. It's like an enemy to lover type of, relationship that actually ends up developing between the two. Despite being on opposite sides of the gladiator business, the two actually end up developing a very passionate, romance, where it's actually very clear to see that Opiter was the one who, basically made that initial move on Korris. Korris at the beginning, you can see that he wasn't going for it. He was kind of, rejecting, Opiter, but Opiter, he knew what to do, how to do it, and obviously later on, Korris actually ends up, giving in and giving him a chance, and the two actually end up developing a very spicy but also very secret love affair. Basically, later on, we can see that the pair actually end up planning on running away together. Korris even serves as, medicus to help Opiter and prepare to leave the house of Ashur, where he actually went and, offered Ashur, in this case, everything that he owns, so that, in this case, Korris can come with him and that he can finally get his freedom, even though he was already free, but in this case, free from the duty that he has at the Ashur house. Obviously, it was an argument that happened, but, in this case, Ashur actually ends up accepting, the offer that Opiter made to him. And basically, Korris at that point, he already was saying goodbye to his gladiators and everybody. So until that point, everything was kind of going very, very, very smoothly. But obviously, things didn't go as planned, as they were preparing, in this case, to leave the house, and just to leave, because they saw things coming. They saw that things were starting to get messy and they didn't want to be involved in it, because they knew that, if they would stay and just, deal with what is to come, that things would end very badly. So they were preparing to escape and just to go, somewhere else and start life from zero. Before they can escape, Opiter gets eliminated in order to prevent him from leaving here. So basically, the people actually ends up finding out that he was gonna leave and they was against him leaving. They felt like that his decision was a wrong decision. So, he actually ends up getting eliminated, which was very, very heartbreaking in this case for Korris, because he goes through a devastated grief and seeks revenge against those who basically committed the crime. And later on, by the end of the season, you can clearly see that as time goes by, he actually ends up, getting his revenge. But obviously, he's still grieving a lot, because it's been a really long time. And you can see that, Korris definitely had like a very strong, feelings towards Opiter, and to see how he was eliminated in such a cruel way definitely, was something that he had to deal with and still had a lot of pain towards. And later on, when he found out who was the people that was, in this case, the ones who committed the crime, he went and he got his full revenge, and he took matters into his own hands, and he did what he did in order to get revenge for the elimination of his lover. So basically, I can say that the story had a lot of potential to be a great story between the two. They did have quite some moments together. They had very deep conversations. You can see that in this case, Opiter, he was very determined in not to leave, Korris behind, because Opiter, he could have left, but he said, I want to go with you. I want you to come with me. And, at the beginning, you can see that, they needed to figure out a way on how to do it properly. And when they figured out a way on how to do it properly, things didn't go as planned. Very good story, very good story. I would highly recommend you also go ahead, go watch it on Prime Video. It has one season with 10 episodes and is 100 trillion% worth to watch. In my personal opinion, that's why I just had to do a review on the relationship of the couple, because like I said, it is amazing. So that's basically it. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Until the next video, and goodbye.